Alright everybody, I'm hoping this little microphone's working because my voice is shot. Just gonna do a quick video here. I think I have enough cord laid out. So, oops, rocking the boat, sorry. Give me a sec. Should have enough cord laid out here for this one. If you don't recognize this javelin off the top of your head, this is a 60-meter Apollo. I already have it where I want it. As you can tell, this is just a regrip. There's no paint, there's no nothing to it, nothing fancy, nothing extra. Yeah. Give yourself a little bit like that. I use athletic tape because it absorbs the glue when it helps everything stick together. Same thing, you can tell here, this is what they used before. Like I said, this is balanced where I want it. I want my grip or my wind to end up right there. So I have it lined up right at that spot where it balances. This one is just to get it set up. I always work myself from the front of the javelin back. I find my mark and I go forward. Especially on javelins like these, this could be wrong, like not necessarily wrong because it passed, but it could be shorter than what I want. It could be longer than I want it, and hopefully it's not longer. But you can tell here, I just keep everything low for you so you can see it. Just keep the wrap tight, and you want to use the same tightness and the same tension on this as you would when you do it at the end. Don't change it, keep it the same. Otherwise, you could end up with either more cord than you want or not enough cord at all. I'm going to go to the end here where they had it originally. I'm going to check it. I always find my knob where I started, and that's where I judge it. Now you can tell this is very big right now, and this is, let me see, the best way to get the camera angle. You can tell right now this is one cord over what would be legal. That's actually what I want. That's how I do it. I go over by one, put my tape on. I grab an extra piece of tape here. You always tape up the end that you're going to cut, because otherwise it'll fray out and then it'll be a waste of cord. Grab your scissors right in the middle, and that way it doesn't fray out on either end. Now, what I'll do, I know I'm one cord over right there. Take that one cord out, put my tape back on. That's where I know my starting point's going to be. Come back over here, find my first wrap, tail lifts, or excuse me, tip lifts, tail goes down. Move it forward one spot, you're good to go. Just for the sake of, I'm going to go over here real quick. I'm going to let my scale get set. This thing should be on without a problem. But every now and then, oh, that's actually more than you want, but that's kind of what we're going to be stuck with. Sadly, when I'm not repainting a javelin, I really try not to change anything on it. If it's heavy from the factory, then it's heavy from the factory. Unless I'm specifically asked, hey, make this better or make this a certain way, I don't touch it. That way it's just the price for the regrip. I don't have to charge you anything else. And, excuse me, this was a 70 meter, not a 60 meter. I apologize. I had that mixed up in the beginning. But there's your Apollo sticker. Apollo laser. The problem is when you're doing this and you're not stripping it down, you're not repainting, and you want to try and change it, the only spot where I can move weight around is here. Unless there's weight under the grip, there's no change that I can make other than up here by taking the weight out and redoing it. The only problem you run in there is if I'm not making any changes anywhere else, this might not balance anymore. If that was 810, I think, 812. And if they wanted it to go down 805, I took that 5 or 6 out up here, it might not bounce because that's the way factory made it. So we have this set up where we want. Now it's gonna be kind of hard. I put 2 pieces of tape for our start and our finish so we know where we're going. Now on this one, since it still has this tape already on it, I'm not going to bother moving it, or I'm not going to bother taking it off. But I would normally take my athletic tape and do one wrap around, not tight like this, just just so that way there's a piece going around. That way the glue has something to attach to. I learned that the hard way when I first started doing this, is that if I just leave it alone, whether it painted, bare metal, whatever, if I just left it alone, that my glue, any glue, has trouble attaching itself to anything shiny, anything with a glossed coat to it. So the metal or the shiny paint that I would put on it, you'd be out of luck, and that grip would just pop right off. So I'm just using standard Elmer's glue, nothing fancy about it. Come back to my starting point. I always make sure to turn it just a little bit, make that tight. So that way it's not a loose point at the end there, because that's where your finger's going to want to go. At least that's how I do it. And then we just wind her back up, going the other direction. Now if you have somebody that's picky on which way the cord is wrapped, you can go lefty or righty. It's up to you. Unless somebody asks me, this is the way I do it. I don't change it up, just same thing every time. Now I bring it down to that piece of tape, take my tape off, do another wind or two. It's always good to have that little bit extra, which is that part that I took off up top. I go under 1, under 2, under 3. You get up here like that, you end up with a bit of loose. Rotate the jav while holding onto the cording, tighten it back up. Repeat that process until everything is good and tight, is not coming off. Now I try my best, doesn't always work, to line up knob up top, knob at the bottom. Excuse me. And you got to make sure everything is good and tight. So that way you're good to go. I like to use the end of this thing. Helps me pull things good and tight. And that is a snug fit. Now, if I would not have done this with my knobs and I left it over here, this would actually be too wide, or too much grip, however you want to say it. There would be too much here and this would not fit. You'd be out of luck. So that is one reason I started doing that. It just works out better. What you do is you gap that a little bit, take your knife, go right up against that bottom cord, not to cut it, and it pops that off. And what I like to do is I'll grab my glue, I'll hit it right inside there, push it good and snug, come back down to this bottom one, same thing, put a couple dabs of glue in there, helps things stay attached. Everybody knows the problem of when that cord starts to lift like this. I want to make sure it's not doing that first thing. And you can always change that with little Elmer's glue or super glue. But good and tight. Come back through with a towel. And there you be. Now it's always good to come back through, find your first cord, find your mark, tail goes down, tip goes up, move it forward. Now, it doesn't have to do it on the second one like this one did. It could be on the third one, the fourth one. There is a limit in there, but you want it as close to this front one as you can. Just remember, you have to tip up. Sorry, you can't see my hand. You have to tip up before you tip down. If it just tips down, you're no good. It has to tip up first. You can't just tip down on this first cord. And stops being sick. Oh. Anyway, so that was a little quickie there for you. We'll end up here. I'll do a nice little ending with a sticker. Sticky brand stickers. I'm in the trash bag. And we're gonna come up here, add it into the logo that's already up here. That way all the stickers are in the same spot. There you be. That's how you do a simple wrap on a javelin. Have a good day. Okay, we're gonna edit that. This is a PSA for all you throwers and coaches. Please, if you have a rainy day, don't just shove your javelins back into a tube or back into a bag. Obviously, you got to do that to get it to and from. When you get home, when you get back to your equipment shed, either or, I don't care which one. Please, for the love of God, take the javelin out of the bag, out of the tube. Or, you have a tube, drill holes in the tube. I put holes in the cap. That way air can get inside that tube. If you don't, we start to have issues like this. And it can get so much worse. You can see right here, this is corrosion on the javelin. Got it up here. So it's starting there. Corrosion, corrosion, corrosion. Corrosion is one of metal's worst enemy. Please, for the love of God, or any other God, I don't care which God, who's ever God, or no God, it doesn't matter. Please, protect your equipment, take care of your equipment, get the mud off the tips, so that way you don't have to worry about it later. And when it's wet, when the cord gets wet, take the javelin out, just set it in the shed. It doesn't have to be anywhere special. You don't have to blow dry it. You don't have to put it next to a heater. Just get it out of the tube so that way that moisture can evaporate out of the cording. Otherwise, you end up with that or worse. And if it gets worse, I can't fix it. And then you have a broken javelin. So please, take care of your javelin. Stay safe, though, fry. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. All right, everybody. Jason McCumpsey, Redbeard Rebuilding, coming to you. They, whoever. Let me get down here. I'm going to be putting together here a bunch of quick short videos, smashing them all together into one here, just to give you a little information about some of the other things that I do here when I'm putting your javelins together. Sorry for the voice here. What we're going over at the moment is gluing the heads on. I think a while back I made a video about how I take them off on steel and aluminum jabs. Obviously on carbons you can't take them off. I use a little handheld torch, nothing major, nothing big, just a little handheld torch, enough to heat up generally about that much area. I normally need to heat up. Kind of OTEs, kind of depending on the year of the job, they kind of get a little longer, and you have to watch out when you're doing that. But Apollo actually is that way too. When I'll pop this one off here in a minute. This one comes down to about here somewhere compared to the Nordics, which are these four. They're only about inch and a half down. I think part of that is because the steel is a little stronger compared to the aluminum, but that's a factory thing. I use generally two different types of adhesives when I'm putting these on. I have, they're both by JB. You have this one, which they're both two parts as well. This is 5-minute epoxy. This is stuff that'll set up real quick. You know, if I'm doing something just to get it out the door real quick, you know, something needs to go and get out the door, this is what I'll use, because I can then, you know, set it and forget it is the term. You just put it on, you don't worry about it. The other one is JB Weld. Some of you have probably already heard about it. This is specifically their steel one, but it'll attach to just about anything. It says aluminum, metal, wood, plastic, tile, PVC, ceramic, fiberglass, concrete, and more. For household, automotive, plumbing, marine, crafts, and more. Fuel and chemical resistant. Our strongest epoxy and easy to use. This one, when it comes down to it, has this JB Weld compared to the 5-minute epoxy has stronger. It has a tensile strength for PSI actually is 5,020, but this does take longer to set. You have to have a full entire 24 hours that you can put this down and not think about it. There's a set time of 4 to 6 hours. Cure time when it's fully done is 15 to 24. Now that's all depending on weather, temperature, and stuff like that. So this time around we are going to be using the JB Weld compared to the 5-minute epoxy, because all of these are just going to sit here overnight. It's not going to be a big deal, and it's warm in here, so there's no problem about it. Like I said, it's a 2-part. Just squeeze some of it out here. You gotta. I'm not going to go into depth much about it because they're tubing. You kind of have to watch how it comes out there at the end. Otherwise, you're going to end up filling up the cap, and it squeezes it out and it becomes a mess. But you put equal amounts of A and B, or the white and black, depending on what you're doing. I think this only comes in white and black, or white part and a black part, and then it turns gray. But that's not really a concern because it's going to be underneath there. Always keep a rag around, so that way you can wipe off the excess, so that way it's not gooping everywhere. It looks bad. I'm just using this scrap piece of plywood that I found downstairs to mix everything together. And the nice thing about using JB Weld is like it says, it does not have that long. It has a longer set time, so you're not rushing around trying to be. I've got 5 javelins here that need done. This set obviously isn't going to work for the rest of them because there won't be enough. But I got. There's like 20 javelins I need to put heads on right now, so. Now you really don't need a lot. Depending on what I'm doing, depends on how I do it. And sometimes it's a little different every time, I guess. Let's get a bunch on the end of here. I found that if I get the tape out of it first, let me make sure that's out of there. What I can actually do is just take it, and I can do it this way. Excuse me again. Kind of just wrap it around inside your hole, inside the head there, and you just go like this. Put it back on. Now, like I said, you get that little bit of extra squeezing out. So just keep your rag around. Ding. Not sure if I'm in screen right now. I apologize. But all I did was just, go around there and get it good and clean. I find that way it tends to be a little cleaner because it's pushing the glue, the adhesive along this part of the shaft. I found that if you put it on the shaft itself, it might, depending on the tapers, it actually might not touch the head and might not do what you want it to do. And we obviously, coming apart, we obviously want it to do its job and get on there. Again, just squeeze it in there like so. What I like to do with these after I'm done is I will stand them up. Number one, safe space, but number two, I know that gravity helps and it's going to push, keep everything together. Um, I think it's the 5-part epoxy makes things a little warmer. It does cause some heat with the the reaction of the two chemicals, um, which I have found can push the javelin head back out if you're not if you're not careful and you're not paying attention, which obviously can be a bad thing. So I don't think that the JB Weld, this JB Weld, the gray one, compared to the clear one, I do not think it does that. I've never seen it do it. Let's put it that way. So I'm not concerned about it. That one did not. I'll do this last one here. Like I said earlier, the Apollo, you can tell, has much more of the shaft inside the head compared to what the Nordics were. Nordics, you had an inch, inch and a half or so. That's 6 inches maybe. I'm not going to measure it, but it's definitely a lot more than what the other one was. So it makes a difference. It makes a difference in the balance. It makes a difference in the adhesion. There's a lot of different things that you got to watch out for. Get that good and tight. Wipe down, and there you go. It's it's nothing difficult. It's there's no special chemicals other than what we're using here. Everything, just about everything I do, you can buy on your own. And please don't do that. I like my job. I like you sending your stuff to me so I can do it. But when I first started off doing these javelins, the only specialty item that I had to buy was my cord, because it has to be a certain width, it has to be a certain material, or not width, excuse me, diameter. It has to be made out of a certain material. If you don't get the right diameter, you're screwed. I mean, the max diameter is 4 millimeters, excuse me, and that's guys and gals, both javelins. 4 millimeters is the max diameter that you can use. You can find it. Problem is with that is that it's in metric, which is harder to find than it is in American, obviously. The cord I buy now is made technically in England, then shipped over here. I had a company that was going through some ownership changes and things. I don't know if it's opened back up or not. They were an American company. I liked using them because they had solid cord. But you can't just go and get arts and crafts cord from AC. AC Moore's not around anymore. You can't go out to Michael's and just get this stuff, because the stuff that you're going to get from Michael's is almost a yarn. This is a rope. So finding this is more specific, both size and material, and you want to get the right stuff, because if you don't, then it's going to be way too soft. You're not going to be able to get a good grip, and it's a disaster. Polanic is the only one that has their own specialty style cord. They use one cording that's makes you think of a paracord. It has the inner cording with a wrap around the outside. I personally do not like their cord, but that's what I started off with. Jeff Gorski got me into the Polanic cord because that's what he had, until I could find my own. I personally, it's not the best cord in my mind because it holds water more. This stuff that I've found does not hold the water as much. Yes, it will soak up water, but it'll beat off before it'll soak in. With that paracord style, it has tendencies to suck it up and hold on to it like a rag. And in the long run, it doesn't help you when you're trying to use it in the rain, but in the long run, it stays around the shaft longer. It doesn't evaporate as fast, which can cause more corrosion. So that's why I stopped using it. And I went with the same style that everybody else uses, but just you find what you like and you go with it. So if you like the, sadly I don't have any of the planet cord, so if you like it, I can't use it. I just have the cord that I have. I am starting to color my cord. We get it in red and, or I'm coloring it in red and black, which I have to color more black. But yeah, this was supposed to be a short video. I made it a little longer than I planned. I'm hoping this microphone works. Hoping you are having a good day. I don't know when you're watching this. It is a Saturday for me. So stay safe, throw far, take care of yourselves, take care of each other.